Hi, and welcome to today's product overview. Today we're going to talk about Acronis Backup Cloud version 5. I'm Jacob Story, Senior Cloud Sales Engineer for the Americas for Acronis. So what we see here is the management console, the login portal for the management console for Acronis Backup Cloud version 5. Today we're going to be logging in as a managed service provider, and this demo is pre-set up with multiple clients and backup offerings as we go through. Go ahead and log in now. This portal is available from anywhere in the world with an internet connection. So as you can see here at the very top of the page, group name managed service provider. I have multiple clients already deployed here on the left. So the first thing I'm going to take you through is our company's overview tab. In this tab shows you each one of your clients, their space usage as you go through, how many of what type of machine they have and their quotas for that, as well as a 7-day backup history. As you can see here in the 7-day backup history for client number 1, all green and gray representing no backups during that time period, green meaning that successful backup. On the very far right is the current time frame. So as you can see here with client 2, we've had some failed backups over the last week. None really over the weekend, but it looks like Monday morning we did. It's Tuesday at the time of this recording. Administrators, these are simply administrators that you have for your company as a managed service provider. As an administrator, you have full access to create, disable, and delete clients, as well as actually managing the backups for each of those clients yourself. Moving on to the storage tab, here you can see the multiple different cloud targets that we have. At the very bottom, this is the Acronis Cloud Storage. So this is what comes by default with your account. But as you can see, I also have Azure, S3, and then also Acronis Storage Gateway. Acronis Storage Gateway allows you to use your own data center with your own existing storage today and have all of your customers back up to the cloud target of that. Azure, S3, we also support OpenStack, Swift. All of those can be deployed in each of those existing cloud infrastructures. Moving into the branding section. With the branding section here, this is where you'll be able to white label the product. At the top, you'll see that there's the logo. From there, you can choose your color scheme of choice. And then all of your company's information, along with buy URL, support phone, user guide. All of these will show up when your customers log in, like we see here, distributor demo being the logo, and we've actually stuck to the traditional Acronis colors. The URL is also maskable. Please contact your local sales engineer for details on how to do that. At the bottom here, we also see email server settings. So Acronis allows you to use your own SMTP server in order for the emails of the notification emails to look like they're coming from you. Once you create all of the branding above, those emails also take on that branding, so your logo and your color scheme. I'm going to move back to the companies tab here for a second. And at the very top, you'll notice how many machine types we have protected, so workstations, servers, and virtual machines, and how much occupied storage space we have. Now, this is a demo account, so I have a limitation of 512 terabytes, but as a managed service provider, you don't have any caps like that. As we can see, I'm utilizing 636 gigs inside of the Acronis Cloud, and this is an aggregate of all of my customers. So as you can see, if we added up the 103, 146, and 386, that's where we're going to get to that 636 number. Please note that this is compressed usage in the cloud, so we only charge you for what's actually being stored. Moving into client number 1, I'm actually going to jump right into their properties. This is the same view that you would see when you're creating a group, like we see in the blue column at the bottom here. So first thing we choose is name, in this case client number 1. The identifier field that you can use here can be used for your billing purposes, any CRM engine that you have. Status is their status of their backups as well as their account itself. So if you have a customer that's not up to speed on their bill, then you can turn this off. It will then not allow them to use their account, but it won't delete their backups in the cloud. Type, it defaults to end user company when you're a managed service provider. And then mode. If we were to create a new account, this gives us the option to either choose production or trial. The great thing about the trial mode is we extend that through you to your customer. So the first 30 days are free. Language for notifications. We support multiple different languages. Just contact your local sales engineer to find out if your local language is supported. And then we get to storage. So this is the destination for cloud backups. In this case, for client number 1, these cloud backups are happening to the Acronis cloud, but there would be a drop down here for you to choose other options like we saw earlier with the S3, Azure, or Acronis Storage Gateway. From there, we get into quotas. These are physical workstations, physical servers, virtual machines. What these allow you to do is set a soft and a hard quota. So that soft quota is going to give you a warning or an error when you get to that point. So in the case of physical workstations for client number 1, they and the administrators at the MSP are going to get an email warning letting them know that they've reached that limit. Now, this isn't the number of agents installed. This is actually the number of agents with backup plans. So you could install, hundreds of agents, but they wouldn't be able to back up unless this was increased. The same goes for storage quota. First number is a soft quota, and the second number is a hard quota. So the first number is where we're going to get our warnings. The second number is where backups are actually going to stop. You do have the choice to make this an unlimited overage or unlimited total. From there, simple billing and contact information for the end customer. Now, moving into accounts. Here you can see we have 2 accounts set up. One is Nichols DDS, the other one is Jacob Story. Nichols DDS has 2 workstations currently being backed up. Now, once you create your client, you do need to create an account, at least one account. What these accounts are used for is essentially a login for the subscription of the service. That way the agents know where to be placed inside of the web console. So once Nichols DDS is created, when we install the agent, it's going to ask us for this login again. I'll show you that here in a second. Now we look at client number 2. Client number 2 has several subgroups inside of it. As you can see, I've created these as departments. So we have finance, HR, IT, R&D, sales, and workstations. IT has even more subgroups. So the nice thing is an MSP, even if you are servicing a larger company, you can create subgroups and allow them to actually administrate themselves in certain groups. So maybe they don't want their on-site IT person to have access to HR and finance data. In that case, you could create an administrative account inside of the IT section, and they would only have access to the accounts below. The same goes with workstations. A lot of the times, if you're backing up workstations, you want to give some of your customers self-service to be able to do restorations. In this case, you would want to create one account for one person. That way, their machines or their devices that are being backed up are only accessible by them and any administrators above them. If we were to create just a single account for all workstations, if anybody were to log into that account, they would be able to recover from anybody else's workstation that's currently being backed up. I'm going to click back at the highest level of client 2, and then we're going to log in here in the top right to manage backups. So as you can see here, I have multiple machines already installed. If we look here on the left, you'll see what kind of machine type they are and whether they're online or offline. This Hyper-V VM that we see here in the light blue is actually offline. So this machine is turned off and the agent is no longer reporting. Normally your first time logging in, there will be a large add machine button in the center, which will bring up this console or this button here in the top right as well, which is the add button. And this is where we can go over what we can back up, what we have agents for. So we can back up Windows, Linux, and Mac. For Windows, we go anywhere from the current version of Windows, both server and workstation, all the way back to Server 2000 Service Pack 4. In Linux, we go back into early 2. Kernels. In Mac, we go all the way back to Snow Leopard on x86 machines. Virtual machines that you see here, these are any of the hypervisors that we support to be able to do hypervisor level backups. So we have VMware, Hyper-V, and Virtuoso. Next is the application support. Today, we support Microsoft SQL and Microsoft Exchange. And then finally, in the bottom, you'll see download all agents installations for Windows. What this download will let you do, this is our thick installer. So it has all of these agents installed or already in the package with the exception of Linux and Mac. And this allows you to break out into specific MSI files to create silent or GPO installable installers for your customers. This is also a great way to use your RMM tool to push out these clients. Now, like I had stated before, when we start the installation of that client, it's going to ask us for a login. In the case of client 2 that we see here, you'll see I have multiple different accounts: helpdesk.demo, Hyper-V host.demo, ad.demo. What this is going to allow us to do, we'll log in with one of these accounts, and then that machine will show up within 20 to 30 seconds of adding that account. Sometimes can be quicker. In large virtual environments, it can take a while to index all of those virtual machines to show up in this view. One thing to note as we're going through here, I have a few Hyper-V hosts, and then you'll also notice multiple Hyper-V machines. In the case of this BSD Hyper-V V1 VM, you'll note that we don't have a Unix client. So this VM is actually being backed up from the hypervisor level. I'll go ahead and select my Hyper-V 1 demo box and select backup. Now this machine already has a backup running on it. You'll notice here, applied backup plans is entire to cloud. Once that loaded in, you'll see it's backing up the entire machine to cloud storage Monday through Friday, and we have a retention policy going back to 6 months. It also shows me the plan owner here as Hyper-V host.demo. One great thing is you can give your clients access to their accounts and not worry about them deleting backup plans that you have set for them. So if you as the MSP log into that account as an administrator and create a backup plan, the plan owner will show as such as an administrator, and there will be a lock at the top right here. This means that client, they will be able to run that backup at any time that they want, but they won't be able to go in and change backup plans. They do have the ability to do restorations. From here, we're going to go ahead and add backup plan. So one thing to note here is there's multiple backup plans for me to choose from. This is my demo environment, and I have created multiple other backup plans on other machines in order to be backed up. I create the naming and all of the scheming that goes along with that backup plan. Nice thing here is that when you create a backup plan, it becomes a template. So you can create that one-time template and then apply that to multiple machines inside of the environment by simply selecting them on the left here and then adding one of these backup plans. For now, we're going to jump over and create a new backup plan. First, we're going to select what to back up. We have entire machine, disks, volumes, files, folders, and system state. For this machine, we're going to go ahead and choose disks and volumes. With these loading times, we're actually doing a live talk in between the agent and the web console, waiting for that web agent or for the agent to return back to the web console looking for new requests. In items to back up, since we're selected a single machine, this is going to show us a live view of the file system. So we have the system reserve drive, the C drive, as well as an external drive that we've named hyperstorage, or E. That's actually what we're going to back up to at this point. Go ahead and select OK. We'll wait for that to finish. And from there, we're going to choose where to back up. Default is directly to cloud storage. We also have the option here for local and network folders. With network folders, this can be a simple UNC path to a Windows file share, a CIFS, SNB. Local folders, in our case, this is where we're going to back up to either that USB drive, it could be any sort of a LUN or another internal hard drive. Selected E, we'll go ahead and hit done here. So wait for that to apply. Next, we're going to choose our schedule, so how often we want to back up. The first thing we can choose in our schedule, since we chose a local, is always incremental. What type of backup scheme we want? Default is always incremental, so this does a first full forever incremental. We could also choose always full, weekly full, daily incremental, or custom. Custom will also allow you to do differential backups. From here, we're going to choose our schedule. How often we want this backup to run. Default is daily, Monday through Friday at 11 p.m. We could choose anywhere from once a month if we chose the monthly option, or we could get into the hourly option. And we could actually go down to every 15 minutes. And we could run that 6 days a week, excluding Saturday. So 15, drop this number to minutes, and then we can choose our hours. We can go 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. if we choose. Go ahead and select done. From here, we're going to choose our retention policy. So how long to keep. By default, it's done by backup age, but we also have the option to choose by actual number of backups or keep backups indefinitely. There is no limitation to any of these selections, so we could go 600 months if we wanted. From there, you'll notice after we added the local backup, a new option appeared of replicating backups. We'll go ahead and turn that on. Now the default for replicating backups is going to be to go to the cloud. We do have the option inside of that replicate backups to also go to another local location. One great feature about this product is you can choose a separate retention policy from your local and your cloud. So maybe 600 months is too much to have in the cloud, so we'll take that back down to 6 months. From there, we get into encryption. By turning encryption on, it's going to allow us to set an encryption password. Password is case sensitive, and the password is not recoverable in any way. So if you do lose this password, you will lose access to all of your backups. This also gives you the ability to choose between what level encryption you'd like to utilize. We have anywhere from AES 128 to AES level 256. One thing to note with our encryption is that it is done in transit and at rest, so anytime any data leaves the agent itself, it will be encrypted, and this does include local appliances. These are the simple settings for our backup plan. In another video, I will also go over the advanced settings, which can be found up in the top right of the backup plan in the gear. From here, we can apply the backup plan, give it a name, and that will apply to that machine. In this case, I already have a backup plan on this machine, so I'm going to cancel this. Next, you'll see recovery. Choose recovery for this machine. One thing to note with recovery, since I have backup locations here, being able to choose from a radio button, either from the cloud or local. If I choose the local, you'll see that I do have only one local backup of this machine, but I do have another option here as local. I could run this machine as a VM. So if this is a physical machine or even another virtual machine, I can move this to another hypervisor and actually run it right off of the backup. Going back to the cloud piece, and these options are also available from the local, I can choose my backup point in time, choose recover, and since I am backing up the entire machine in this case, I could recover this entire machine. By selecting this, it will bring up more options to go through. Very simple options. It will also map disks to make sure that disk mapping has not changed since this backup. And then it will actually reboot into a recovery environment that is scripted and knows to back up, or knows to restore from this yesterday's backup at 11:12 a.m. From there, I could also choose files and folders. As you can see here, this took me to a new window, took me to that point in time, and is actually loading in the file structure of this machine. What this is going to allow me to do is drill through my file structure, find the specific files and folders that I'd like to restore, and allow me to restore them. The options that it gives me with this, I have the ability to overwrite the original files, or I can restore those to another location inside of that machine or to a network structure that that machine has access to. Now, all the options I've shown you so far are available to the machine while it's online and reporting. Now, if your machine has crashed and is offline, more ways to recover in the top right is what you will see. The first option I have is to select another machine to recover to. Now, this may be a little out of the norm for most people. What we allow you to do with this is it's essentially the same entire machine recovery that we saw before. If Hyper-V 1 was offline, it obviously would not show here, and I could actually overwrite my Hyper-V 2 machine with the Hyper-V 1 image. Hyper-V 2 machine is another Hyper-V machine that has the agent already installed on it, which will allow us to do that recovery. It does not have to be the same OS type. As long as the disk mapping is similar, then you will be fine. One of my favorite features of this product is the download files option. Unfortunately, I'm a victim of my own circumstance. With this, I once forgot my laptop on a business trip and I needed to do a presentation. I was lucky enough, I had my backup in Acronis Backup Cloud 5. I was able to log into this URL that we see here with my actual login for my backup account. I logged in, and what this allows you to do is from a web browser anywhere in the world, it allows you to download specific files and folders of your choosing right through your web browser. So this is a great feature, in my case, for being able to download a PowerPoint at a customer site to go through my presentation. As you can see here, we're logging in, and this is again going to bring up all of the file structure that we saw before in a backup format. So here we can see the different machines that are in that Hyper-V host demo account. I can go through and actually select each machine that I need and select files through that file structure. Lastly is our download ISO image. So this is our bare metal recovery image. Now, while we call it that, it can be used for physical to virtual migrations or virtual to virtual. One great feature that's in our downloadable bootable image is Universal Restore, and this allows you to restore to dissimilar hardware. So if you're moving from an HP to a Dell or vice versa, or you have a RAID card that you need to change on a restoration, we can rip those drivers out and inject new ones. Now, if we don't have the drivers needed on this CD, we also allow you to eject new drivers via USB. Going down the line here, we can go to the overview of machines. So as you can see here, this is showing us internal IP addresses for Hyper-V. It's also giving us the total size of backups and cloud storage for this machine, as well as the machine token. Now this machine token is actually used when you're doing a large scale recovery. So MSPs, we allow them to use our initial seeding and large scale recovery tool. So you can actually download the full image of a machine to your site to put on disk to take to a customer site. Goes over our installed agents. So this machine has the Hyper-V and the Windows agent. Operating system being 2012 R2 data center. It's got an AMD Opteron and 20 gigs of RAM. And then the comment section you see here is unique to Windows, but this is the description section inside of Windows properties. Next up, activities. So this is going to load all of our activities. As you can see here, we have some failures on the 23rd, the 22nd, and the 20th. If you remember back to our companies tab, there were 3 failures that we went through and saw on the 7-day backup history. So I could go through, click on any one of these, and go to details and find out why that actually failed. Alerts. There are no alerts in this system today. Normally I do try to keep alerts in here. One of the most common alerts that comes up, and this is new for version 5, is it'll come up and let you know when a machine did not back up at its scheduled time because it was offline. This way it's very nice to see for any of your customers' machines. They may not know that it's offline, and that way you can troubleshoot that issue. Finally, the delete button will actually delete that machine out of the console. However, this will not delete the backups for that machine. Over on the left, you'll notice that Microsoft SQL and Hyper-V show up. With Hyper-V as well as VMware, you'll get the structure itself of your internal clusters. So here you can see host and clusters. I have multiple machines as well as a HP Acronis, which is my desktop running Hyper-V. VMware and Exchange will also show up here, but only once you install an agent on those machines. For SQL, you can see I have my SQL box here. I'll actually click on the name of this system, and this will take me to the instances running on this machine. Again, I can click on the name and go one level deeper into the actual databases that I have. I can schedule backup plans per database, or I can schedule them at the instance level. With our SQL recovery, we allow you to do database recovery in a file, a read-only. We can actually recover to another instance or overwrite the current database that it has, either in a ready to operate format or read-only. Finally, we're going to go over updates. Again, normally we have updates that are needed inside of this system for demo purposes, but we recently updated all of our agents in preparation for our next launch. What this allows you to do is, as Acronis releases new agents or new versions of the agent, your machines will show up here letting you know that they need an update. And this goes for all machines that you have installed. From here, you can simply select all or select specific machines and apply the update. Our installations and our updates are painless, meaning that they don't require a reboot. Future versions of our product will actually allow you to automate this process. So at this point, I'd like to thank you for listening through our product overview. If you have any questions, please reach out to your sales representative or your local sales engineer. And I hope that you watch future videos of ours.